Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Last time we built this application for removing backgrounds using REMBG, and I was using it and I like it, but it was there was some stuff using it was kind of a hassle. So today I'm gonna be going through building a GUI for it using TK Enter. So let's get started. So this is the code. This is the finished code from the last session. It's already up on GitHub. I'm going to change the name to part one, and then this will go up as part two. So go ahead and if you don't want to code it, you don't have to. You can just pull it and clone it, and then run it, and then you have a nice little GUI to remove batch backgrounds. But this is all the code. We're going to have to. We're basically going to keep this. So let's just comment it out for now, and then we'll start writing our GUI. The TK Enter library, it kind of has its own objects for the lists and the strings and stuff. So we're going to have to take all that stuff and make it into objects in here in a little bit. So we're going to have to do some refactoring to that old code. But in the meantime, we can go ahead and make our window and get the buttons going. So start out, let's go ahead and, if you haven't already, go ahead and install your packages. So you're going to need to pip install TK. Whoops, not that. I don't know what TL is, but I got it. Can't be hasty with these pip installs. Okay, so pip install TK is what we want. Should already have it in there. Pip install. Should already have REMBG installed. But go ahead and install it if you don't, and pip install pillow with a capital P. That's what we're going to be. And clear that. And so now that we got TK Enter installed, let's go ahead and import it. So it's from tkinter import file dialog. We're going to need that from tkinter import ttk. And a little bit later in the video, we are going to import threading. And I suggest you always use threading when using TK Enter for any kind of application that runs. Oh, and we also need to do import tkinter as TK. So yeah, any type of batch processing, you're going to probably want to run threading, just because your window is not going to be responsive at all without it. So let me just double check here. Yeah, that looks like it. So let's get these. Let's get this GUI built, starting with the root. This is a main loop in TK Enter. I'm gonna take these. I'm gonna be using these same variables inside my main loop, but we're going to delete out what it's equal to for now. So let's just delete that and delete this. So those are just going to hang there for a minute. We'll make them equal to something in the meantime. How's that? It doesn't matter. We're going to change that in a little bit. So root. I'm going to make the window just. This is not a very graphic the intensive interface. This is just an interface that lets you select the two file paths, the where your files are and where they're going to go, and then run your batch process. And it's also going to let you quit if, let's say, you have 1,000 of images that you're processing, and you get through the 5 or 6 of them, and you realize, oh, that was the wrong folder. This will let you cancel out of it without hanging your system or anything. So not very spectacular looking, but it's going to have your button. So TPK. Let's give it a label, and the root, of course, is the window. The text, I'm calling it UNCHA. UNCHA. Everything has really cool names lately, like Pinterest and Instagram and Snapchat. So I chose UNCHA, which is a cross between Uncle and Hawaii. So there you go, UNCHA. Batch background. And that's what it is. It's a batch background removal tool. Padding. We are going to add a little bit of styling here. Not much. Just a little bit. 30/30. And if you're getting to know TK Enter, like I am, that means that you're giving padding in the X and the Y. I could probably just go. Oh, that's fine. And then we're going to pack that. Just going to pack it right there. Why is it saying it's complaining? That's because I didn't do it. There we go. All right, so we got the first label. Let's run it. See what we got to do. Our close, our root main loop. You need that, and then let's run it to see what it looks like. This is, you don't really need much to get this going, so I'll hit run. Make sure we're on the right path. I run things quite a bit. Oh, there we go. We got a window. We got UNCHA label on it. Not much going on yet. We're gonna get there. This is gonna go pretty quick. So when you close out of it, it closes it down. Let's add our quit button. So we can quit out of it. Quit will destroy the window and make sure it's not running anymore. So quit. Of course, it's on the root. Root is what we're calling it, and that right up here, root is the name that we gave to the whole thing. So the arguments for TK Enter is pretty intuitive. You got the window that it's acting on. You have your text or text variables, and then your command calls the function. So you can't just, it's your function call basically. So you don't put parentheses on your on that function though. You just say root dot and then the function name. Of course, destroy is included in the library, but here we're going to make some functions ourselves here in a little bit. So that should, and then this pack line, this dot pack says to put it onto the screen, and I'm not putting it. Some people will put quit button and create the quit button, and then do quit button dot packet to display it on the screen. I'm doing it to save some lines of code, so you can experiment with TK Enter, but this is going to get us through what we're doing today. So let's go ahead and run this. Then I have a quit button, and if I hit quit, you can see in my terminal that it's not there anymore. I know my terminal isn't that easy to see, so I'll probably zoom it in here when I go to post editing of this video. So let's see, where are we at? We got a label. So let's go ahead and add our choose path button. So I'm going to call it choose path in and button. Yep, just making it so easy to remember what those variable names are. tk.button is what we're calling root. Text is equal to choose input path. That'll do. And command is equal to get path. And then we'll pack it, we'll put it on the screen. So we can see the button now, but you can see that we haven't defined this function yet. So let's go ahead and do that. Pretty easy. A lot's going to be, it's only 2 lines for this, or 1 line for this function, but it's going to be doing a lot for us. Get path in. I used to write code. I used to write so many lines of code just hacking away, and I got things to work. But Python is an object-oriented language, so you don't really need a lot of lines. So here, before, in the old code, in the code we wrote before, which was working just fine, we just did an equal sign, and we made it equal to as. So this is the path to the string, and we used raw formatted string. But in tk-enter, there's a method that we're going to call. So it's a set method, and we're going to call the file dialog, which we imported up here for the tk-enter. And so that's going to bring up a window, a nice little window that actually will let us navigate to the file we want and just pick it. So I'll show you how that works here. So that's it for our function. So in this line of code, we're calling this file dialog ask directory, which will let us pick it. And then when we pick it, then it's going to set it into our name directory in. So when I created this name directory in, now this is not a list anymore. This is a tk-enter string variable. So we got to change that. All part of working with tk-enter. Let me make sure I get this right. So I'm going to call tk, and then it's just called a string var. And are we going to call that? So there's arguments that you can input on it, but one of your arguments is what you're calling it on. We're calling it on the root, of course. But the next argument is the initial value. So we're going to go ahead and put that initial value in now. Later on, I might do it so that there's you can keep you can set a default path so you're not always selecting it. But for this, we're just going to keep it simple. You have to select your indirectory when you run it. This should be good enough to run. So let's go ahead and take a look. So now we have choose input path. We have UNCHA batch background removal tool, and we have quit. Let's see if these work. So choose input path. There we go. And we can navigate to a directory that has lots of photos in it. Let's pick one of these. Yeah. So all it shows is directories. It doesn't show actual files. So we pick that. It's not putting it in here, but it is in there. And the quit button works as well. Nice. So let's keep writing. So we have this button. Let's put a label in so it actually shows. Will actually show us what we picked. It's always nice. So that's just a ttk.label. And that, of course, that's on the root as well. And we're going to use a text variable. We can't just use text because we're pulling the information that's stored inside of that named directory in. So named directory in, and yeah, that should do it. And we're going to dot pack to the screen, and just a little bit of styling here. Pad Y, we're going to pad it in the Y direction, 6 pixels on each side. That'll be nice. So let's run it. So none selected, so that's initial value for our field, for our variable. And we'll choose the input path. Very nice. It's already there. And you can see now it'll show us the input path that we selected, which is going to be nice. So let's go ahead and quit. It removes it from, it destroys it, and then destroys just doesn't destroy it. It destroy is a term used to say that it's not running the TK enter GUI anymore. So these next two lines of code are going to be just like the previous two, but for the choose input out. So let's get started. Choose path. And we're going to need a button. It's going to be on the root, of course. Text is going to be equal to choose. Oh, we're going to need another function here. So get path out. I bet you haven't even noticed. I'm not using Copilot. I'm not using AI in my thing. I hardly ever use the suggested stuff. I'm just typing old school. I like so this is saying, hey, you don't have this target specified. Why did you put it in there? I don't think there's anything wrong with Copilot. I actually really like it, but it does cost money. And so I'm waiting till I get a job as a coder before I really use it. I did use it for the they have like a free version that you can use for so long, and I used it. I liked it. When I'm working on my coding skills, which I'm doing, I'm not like any. I really need to get a job where I can learn more about coding. I like to just do. I like typing and not tabbing. Should make that a T-shirt. I like typing, not tabbing. So file dial-op. There we go. And of course, we're going to have to switch this variable here to the tk.string var. And I tab just as I say I like to typing. Okay, so I like both, I guess. And we're going to do none selected for that one too. They show up on their little lines underneath each button. At least that's where we're going to put them. Let's go ahead and put the label in before we do so we can see it working. So ttk.label root. My dog is in here. Oops. Why is it not liking this? Text. Huh. And oh, that's why I put the wrong. I didn't use it. My dog is in here, and he has a little window seat. And so he loves his little window seat. He's old, and so he doesn't. He's not too active, but he loves to pretend like he's a little puppy dog. Sits in his window seat and like waits for the mailman or for any package deliveries, and he lets us know. He's like, "Hey, package delivery here." So, of course, I always give him pets and say, "Oh, good, you're a good guard dog. Yeah, you really let us know," and he likes that. All right, so there we go. We got those lines of code in. Let's take a look. Should be working. Oh, we're getting an error. Text variable. I used text variable in. This should be out. It says ambiguous option. Dot pad must be after. Oh, pad. I did pad instead of pad y. Thanks for hanging in there with me. That's another reason why adding those little extra things. It's like this application doesn't. This GUI doesn't need it. So let's pick that for in. So you don't need padding. It's nicer with the padding, but it doesn't really need it. So when you're coding, you might take simplicity over visual aesthetics. So so you can see where we can choose our path in or choose our path out, and then our quit button works. And on top of that, because we have a label on the screen, we know that it's updating the variable with the correct information, which is nice. So we're getting close to being done with this thing. We already wrote 2 of our 3 functions. So where do we go from here? Choose path in buttons. So now we need the run our application button, and we already have our quit button. So we're going to be done in no time. No time. So let's call this button run batch removal tool button. Yeah, that's not too bad. TTK. So this button has a bit to it. I'm gonna go ahead and split it up into multiple lines. So this is the same as these other buttons, but multi-liners. Text is equal to. For the text for this, we'll just make it start. That sounds about it. Start background removal tool. That's pretty nice. Don't forget your comma. And then I will do command. So this one, let's go ahead and put our target in there. It's we're going to make our function, so which will be called run batch removal tool. And so that's good to know. So this right here is going to have all of this in here where we take and we loop over. It could be hundreds or 1,000 images. We don't know. And so we're going to run threading. And if you didn't, so I imported it earlier, import threading. And this is just going to make it so that our GUI runs and our process runs at the same time without any problems. And this simple, we're not even adding a line of code. It's going to be stuck right on this line. This simple one line of code is going to solve so many problems. So let's go ahead and put it. So what we do here is we call threading.thread. Then we specify the target, which is equal to our function and we're calling it without the open and close parentheses. And then we have to start the process, and that's this line of code is gonna just make everything work, everything better. And then we're gonna go ahead and pack this to the screen. This code is a little compact, but it is still pretty beginner code, though. I'd say that if you know your syntax and you know your basic Python fundamentals, then you're not going to have a problem with this code. So this looks like it's good. Now we got to refactor. So we're going to take all this and we're just going to refactor the whole thing all together. So I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to put it inside of my my function here. What does it look like? Okay. This needs to be indented. Nice. Okay. So we do need a pick list, but it's not going to be. We can get rid of that line. Pick list is we're going to calling OS list directory, name directory in. So now that we have tkinter, tkinter, I call it tkinter and tkinter. It's the same thing. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what to call it. Tkinter. Now that we got that. Actually, it's our list isn't a list anymore, and now it's a object, a kinter object. We got to grab the use the get method there. That's all that's going to change for that. So we're going to keep the pick list variable name, and we're going to use the save number. I don't want to refactor. I wanted to rename that to like save identifier, but save number is going to be just fine. The directory name, we're going to be choosing it, so there's no reason for us to be handling that inside of the function. Before we were using datetime to create a folder name, but we're just going to manually create our folder that we want to shoot all the images out to. So we're getting rid of that. And when we do that, we can get rid of the datetime import. So we don't need that anymore. And then we don't need this anymore. This will make it easier to navigate the folder system as well. So now our path, our output directory path is just going to be what we select. So this is what we selected there. And I think we're going to get rid of that here later on in that as well. Okay, so we're not going to be checking if the path is made because we're not creating it anymore, so all this can go away. That's nice. And so we're going to change this input path. That's going to link that up down here, input path. So now that we're using these string variables in tkinter, we're going to have to call the method to get these in order to work. So .get And that's going to be on this one too. Name directory out is going to be .get. And so um, if you don't put that in there, then it's not going to pull the path, the file path. I think we're done. Let's clean this up a bit. Let's test it. Cross our fingers. Okay, so we're going to choose the input path. I got this folder here with it has a bunch of gold coins in it. I wanted to do something simple, and then I'm going to put it in this folder I made. Is called out, and it's an empty folder. Let's start the tool, and let's see if it's working. Okay, so that's working. So here's the file that has the images with backgrounds, and here's the file where it's putting them out to, and you can see that it's removing the backgrounds. It's doing a pretty good job. There's a lot of images in here, so we're at 46 right now. Let's take a look at our app. And since we're using threading, I can hit quit, and it actually works. It'll quit. It'll stop the process at the last image that it processed, and it's not gonna. It gives us this runtime error in our console. I'm not going to deal with the error because it's I mean, we could do a try statement, but that's completely fine for what we're doing, what we're using this for. So that's it. I hope you like the video. All of this will be on GitHub. So if you do just want the code, then just go to GitHub and clone it. Have a good day. I'll see you next time.